Hey, good evening. It's 7:33 p.m. It is Monday evening. It is February 17th. Wow. I'm not going to sit here and go into how I'm going to express my amazement as how fast time is going by, okay? Because but it really is, though. It's like, I can't believe it's 2025 already, and it's already the month of February. But anyway, um, so I'm kind of I just recently got home and I'm kind of unwinding, and I was in a lot of, that questioning type mode this weekend. I was thinking a lot about, um, my relationship with my mother and my amazement as to how uh, I don't know. I just, when I think about this issue, the mind control and everything, it really does, start making you start thinking, to make you think about things that happened in the past or things that were said to you while you were growing up that start making sense, right? But anyway, before I go into all of that, I did want to kind of give you guys a little catch up of what I've been doing. This last weekend, I was working on my project, and I talked about working on my autodidact series, which is, I'm calling it Life Learner series, because this is what I'm going to use as a title to submit my videos, as well as some of these, like, I always add like little publications and stuff, and I do think that this work that I'm doing is very serious, and it's important to me, right? I had mentioned in the last video that I made that I'm in writer mode, right? And, I'm carrying like my little notebooks around with me. And I just recently purchased a refurbished, yeah, I'm somebody who's cheap, okay? I got myself a refurbished laptop, mainly because of the price, okay? And also, I wanted to carry it around with me, to get out of the house on weekends. That's my goal, okay? Because I feel as though being in the house all the time is really not good for my mental health. I need to be moving around. So I kept thinking, okay, where's some of the places that I can go? I know some of the libraries aren't open on the weekends. I could go to the park. I'm figuring out places I can go to. I think Barnes and Noble, just different things that are going to get me out of the house. Okay. I really do enjoy my writing projects. But I do think that I'm cooped up in my house a little too much, okay? And then there's times where, I have these plans where I want to do this weekend, and then the weekend gets here and I just don't feel like doing anything. I just want to be at home, okay? So, a lot of it has to do with my mood or whatever, and I do everything I can to keep my mood stabilized. There's times where, I start thinking about the absurdity of, what happened, the absurdity and how disgusted I am with people. Seriously, I am so disgusted with, people who normalize this sort of behavior. And it's just, you know how I feel about it. Anyway, let's go into what I did this weekend. Okay, so what you're looking at are two little slabs of wood that I got at the Dollar Tree. And just recently, after I purchased this, okay, I think I purchased this maybe on Friday or perhaps maybe Saturday. No, it had to have been Friday before I came home, or maybe on my lunch break, whatever. Anyway, I purchased these two slabs of wood because I really want to do some paint work. And I'm also interested in, like, I think I've expressed my interest in miniatures, and I've talked about me not being able to have like a full-on huge dollhouse, right? And so, I have like little miniature objects that I want to play around with, but I also want to do some creativity into it. Sometimes it's kind of cool to do some paint work and make some of the little furniture pieces in the dollhouse or the curio cabinet or in one of these little box type trays or whatever. The one with the little stars on the sides, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with it. I was thinking about making like a little, maybe a desk or something, and then maybe like some post-it, make it look like a student desk or something, like somebody's working, or maybe like at a workplace, somebody's working. And these two little pieces of wood are going to be in my bedroom. I'm going to hang them up on my wall, okay? So they're just something that I can stimulate my imagination. And the other one with the little hole grids on top, I was thinking about making it into like a little garden setting, something cute like that, okay? But when I do finish it, I'm definitely going to show that to you. I don't know when the last time I made a video. It might have been about a week or two ago. But anyway, I had mentioned that, I used to have a calico bedspread. Calico print is one of my favorite prints. It's like, it has like little small flowers on it, okay? And I really loved that bedspread. And I had said that for the last few months or so, I was just basically sleeping under a blanket because I had gotten rid of my comforter because it was worn out. And it was really worn out. I mean, like, it was, yeah, whatever. Anyway, and I'm somebody who's really picky about bedding. Like, I want to be able to sleep in something that I resonate with, right? Anyway, so I kind of postponed getting the bedspread because I wanted to look and find the bedspread, the right one. And of course, I couldn't find it. So I kind of, said, okay, well, it's getting cold. The last, I don't know, maybe about a week ago, or maybe, I don't know, anywhere from 4 days to a week ago. It's been a while. I start to forget what goes on the last few days because every day kind of seems like the same in a way. But anyway, yeah, I said I was going to stop off at the little place on Brundage. Brundage in Bakersfield has like these little indoor flea market type things. And so I purchased this one. I was looking specifically for a yellow bedspread. And so I got a solid bedspread. And I'm content with it. I am content with it. I am going to be making some more toss pillows to add a little bit more color. Now, I didn't realize that there was an example of what a calico print is. If you look on the side where my little baby doll, my little cabby doll is laying, that pillow is calico print, like the little pieces or the little small flowers kind of scattered all over the place. I just like that look. I think it's very old-fashioned. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. Okay, so now I'm going to go into what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so anyway, I was thinking about how, my family, my adoptive family, the interactions that I had with my mom, my adoptive mother, before, before she passed away. And I had started sensing some different things, that were going on with my mother in 2014, that I felt were, kind of bizarre, okay? And something that I didn't quite expect from her, like a very strange vibe that I thought was almost inappropriate in 2014 when I was staying over at her house, right? And I kept thinking, I don't think my mom sees me as her daughter. That was a flash thought that went through my mind. Like, I felt as though, I felt as though maybe my mom might have had some weird kind of like maybe a sexual attraction towards me, which I thought was very strange, right? But now I'm starting to really pick up on this. Like, perhaps maybe my mom, I was starting to kind of psychically pick up on the fact that I wasn't her real daughter. You know what I mean? And so um, it's weird when you go through something like this because your mind starts racing. Like, what happened? Like, I want to get down to the root of it. Okay. So, of course, I did some meditating, and I know that my mom was influenced by a lot of people about me and my father. And when I think about why she would have believed that me and my father had some sort of relationship, I think, and I do know that my brother-in-law, was associated with, I had mentioned that he was very abusive to my sister Tanya. And I know that a lot of, what they call some Christian men, I don't want to say all Christian men, but I would say a lot of people got involved in my bullying, okay? Um, some of these Christian men are very controlling of their women, and they don't want their wives to wear, makeup, or they don't want their wives to wear nice clothes or whatever. And some of these people, it becomes like a doctrine with them, and they want to influence other people to not live out their lives however they want to, even though they're not associated with this religious organization. Anyway, so they come up. I don't know why in the world somebody would think that I would have a sexual relationship with my father, because that's absurd. But now when I think about how me and my father have been clone soul travelers for such a long time, I do know that, there was a time where, when my father was, I guess, King Tut, he was King Tut, I was his wife, okay? But what a lot of people don't realize is even back then, especially when it came to royalty, most royal marriages were arranged. I don't know if people ever read any information about my life as King Tut's wife, but apparently, it was kind of a negative experience because apparently when King Tut passed away, she was kind of passed down to other men within the family unit, okay? People married within their family structures back then to solidify and keep the wealth within the family, okay? That was why. So I never had any sexual relationships with my father or had any sexual attraction. And chances are I probably didn't even have a sexual attraction to him back then, okay? I was probably married to him out of obligation, most likely, okay? But I will say my relationship with my father as Maria Gordon was 100% father and daughter relationship, and there was no sexual, he never flirted with me, he never made any insinuations, he never did anything, he never touched me inappropriately, I never had anything, any sort of anything. My father never put a hand on me in any way, and I don't know if he did with his other daughters, but he and I were never like that. It was a pure family, like G-rated relationship, and I never had any sort of connection. And so I think, a lot of people, I think some people in this community, I addressed the incest topic before, and how I feel about incest. I am not incestuous. I am not interested in anything incestuous. I was not interested in my brother. My brother, when I was growing up, I guess he would be I think how this works in the cloning system is that, I was, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I was trying to go down the family line as to who he would be as far as, I think he would be my grandson or something weird like that, however that gets flipped around. I was never sexually attracted to my brother, okay? But I know that people wanted to believe stuff, because like I said in one of my other videos when I talked about people who wanted justice, they know that what they do is wrong. Deep down inside, they know that, projecting their anger, their frustration, and what they're doing is outright evil. So they scramble and they want to grasp onto something, okay? And then they would want to grasp onto something like this, okay? Some sort of rumor. My father and I would never had that. So anyway, I think that, people may have used me growing up in my love of clothes, fashion. I know I started wearing makeup when my mother gave me consent to do so. Now, I started wearing makeup before my mother even really gave me consent to do so. When I was 13 years old, she gave me some money and said, Maria, you are old enough to get your first tube of lipstick. And I already knew that that was going to be my reward. I already knew that, when I was growing up, I always had an interest in makeup. So she said, this is when you're allowed to wear it. When my mother was 13, that's when she started wearing it. She's like, you can start wearing that, but you can't wear anything else. Okay, and I personally thought that sucked, because it's like, okay, well then that makes you look kind of uneven. Like and some people can pull that look off. I will tell you, my mother did. My mother pulled that look off, okay? And that's exactly what it is. It is a look. It's a way of decorating yourself. It is a way of expression. It is a way of enjoying color. It's a way of enjoying patterns, prints. I'm somebody who's also deeply involved in the occult. I love shapes. I like things that symbolize things, okay? And so you get these people who may feel, like such as my brother-in-law, who is very, very indoctrinated, okay? Who feel as though that, if a woman is doing these things, she must be doing it for male attention, okay? And so when I was a teenage girl, him seeing me, getting in, I was always into like alternative clothes. What I mean by alternative clothes is like, things, I like vintage clothes. I like weird stuff, okay? When I was growing up, I liked a lot of weird stuff, okay? Anyway, so they come up with these ideas and people start going off with rumors. Now, the only person that I could really think of that I had like close proximity with consistently growing up would be the male figures in my household. Okay. And I can assure you, I never had a relationship with my father. Never. Okay. But somehow I do believe that my brother-in-law and maybe someone else from the Christian faith, or, and I don't like to say all Christians, but some Christian people, they have their own little agenda. They have their own belief system. And so because this is how they see it, they want to try to paint it out to be something else. Or maybe it's an issue relating to control. Some people want to control their women. They do. This is a part of their dynamic. And that's your choice. That may be your own cultural belief, and you can do that with your women. Okay, but I'm not one of those women. Okay, and I don't have anyone to sit here and answer to. So the influence that my mother must have had convinced her that I had some sort of relationship with my father. Now, mind you, what I find absurd about that is, another reason why I find that absurd is because by the time I was developing, okay, into what some people would call a woman, by the time you start having your period, you start developing breast and all that stuff, my father started showing signs of Alzheimer's, okay, even back then, okay? So, the thought that anything like that could have even happened, like, it's the logical thinking that my mom should have put in her mind, but my mother's self-esteem was so low that she would really believe something like that. She didn't find herself to be attractive at all. She didn't find herself to be of worth at all. So she probably was grasping for straws, to project her anger in any way she wanted to, or any way that made her feel a little bit better, and wanted to cast the blame on me. I'm not responsible for any of that. You know what I mean? Also, if I did have a sexual relationship with my father, if people were using their logical mind, really thinking this through. Hang on a second, my computer's like glitching out. Hang on. Okay, if they were really thinking this through, okay, if that were possible, right? If that were possible, if I was a victim of some sort of child molestation with my father, why in the world would somebody want to hold that against me, or use it as a rumor to try to inflict some sort of mental harm on a person? This is why I'm telling you, is why this particular group that was behind this little cabal, and a lot of it was consisting of group members of, like, my adopted family and the kids at school and other things like that, and obviously my sister Lisa should have known, of all people, that there was no way in the world that I could have ever had any sort of sexual attraction towards my father. Now, I do know that here, in the United States, there's laws in different states, okay, depending on, the state of it, that, if a person is being molested in their house, they have the right to talk this over to someone, like within the school system, a counselor. At least it used to be that way. Now, I have been out of the school system for a very, very long time. Okay. But that is something that it's considered, pedophilia or something along those lines, right? And it doesn't really matter. A lot of people, they try to convince themselves that it's not wrong to touch a child, okay? And I guess in some ways that's subjective, okay? But if somebody touches you and it feels like they're a predator, like it's not something wanted, it's not something enjoyable, it's not something that you want. Sometimes people get reported for that sort of stuff. Like, a child molester can get in trouble. If somebody is molesting their child and they're underage, they can go to jail. They can go to jail, okay? Now, for people over the age of 18, when they are consenting adults, and, like I said, people have all kinds of sexual fetishes and sexual desires and everything. I don't have to agree with them. And it's not an issue of whether it's right or wrong. It's a matter of preference, okay? I am not somebody who would be sexually attracted to anybody that I'm related to. Okay, that's my personal thing. Okay, it does not, excite me to think about anything. It does not even, it does not register in my brain. Okay, but if somebody's over the age of 18 and that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. They're the age of consent, legally and hopefully stable enough. Because just because a person's legally, like the age of consent, Like the age of consent, at least here in the state of California, is the age of 18. And I think that's pretty much in any other states too. I'm going to have to look that up. Okay. But by the time you're 18 years old, you can no longer sit here and hold your mom and dad accountable. You are a responsible adult who makes decisions for yourself. Just like when if I was to throw a rock through somebody's window, right? And if I was 14 years old, my parents could be held accountable for that. But see, I couldn't do that if I did that now. I'm a 54-year-old woman. I'm going to have to face the consequences myself. My parents can't do anything for me. I'm fully responsible. Okay. So if a person by what I'm talking about is the age of consent, legally, when you're in the age of 18, you can join the military. You can, I think you're old enough to vote. There's certain things that you're able to do, but you're definitely responsible for yourself. Okay. And so where I'm going with this is that, people who practice incest, like I said, that's your thing. That is your thing. Like, but if a person's over the age of 18, that's your thing. You can do that. Okay. But my point is that, why would somebody think that they should hold that against me, especially if this was a cloning program that cloned people in these little cliques, like as if I had any control over. And of course, my wanting to be with my father has nothing to do with sex. See, I think a lot of people think that anytime you feel a connection to somebody, it always equates to sex. Okay? Now, I don't know if people really understand what love is, but love is really, really deep. And I loved my father. Okay, I loved my father. It's like you really appreciate a person for who they are. You enjoy them. You recognize them for the unique person that they are. It's what it means to cherish an individual. And I will tell you that in society, it is very difficult to find anybody that you can say that about. It is very difficult to say that because most people have dealt with betrayal, they've dealt with some sort of whatever. And don't get me wrong, the fact that my father was a part of this, but then he was too a part of this. You know what I mean? But he had no control over what happened after he passed away. And I will tell you, when he was sick and after he passed away, shit got really weird. Very weird. Until now I finally unwound all of this, okay? And then came to find out that this was going on, all these rumors were going on. And once again, it's like because they were the ones who created me, meaning like the experiment of the Nazis and the people who were part of it, my dad's fake friends, the neighborhood, the town of Lancaster, and everybody else who got involved in it. Okay, they all knew how I came to be, but somehow or another they wanted to blame me for that situation. See, because they know good and well that to sit here and really analyze the situation, that they would be nothing but assholes. So they got to sit here and try to figure out, okay, how can I somehow make this right? Because I can't sit here and deal with being that big of an asshole. The sad part is there is no mind comfort or no blanket to smooth it over. You know what I mean? But I will tell you, I think of myself as somebody who is a very moral person. Okay, and I'm not saying that incest is immoral. It's only immoral if it is something that is not reciprocal. If it's not something that's reciprocal, then it can be immoral, regardless of whether a person is over the age of 18 or not. Because I don't like people touching me. I don't like people putting their hands on me. Okay, I have dealt with people who have been insincere for such a very long time. You know what I mean? And I literally, it makes me feel like it's something disgusting that I don't want to deal with. You know what I mean? And so intimacy for me is not something that appeals to me. Okay, and I have a very good reason for this. Also, I think a lot of people were talking about, wondering about my sexual. I have dealt with abuse. Okay, I have dealt with religious abuse. Okay, religious abuse of mind control and other things, racial abuse and other forms of abuse. Okay, and I get tired of people being fixated on my sexuality, when this was a very serious issue that I was running from. You know what I mean? Screw the interest and the intrigue of who I possibly am attracted to. I will tell you, there is no one I'm attracted to. Okay? My point right now in my life is I'm someone who needs to feel safe. I need to feel safe, and I need to feel, and the only person that makes me feel safe is me. That's it. Okay. I dealt with, we all know that a lot of people who participated in my targeting were under severe mind control. My mother was under severe mind control. I mean, the whole thing was so dark. But, I want to go more into this, and I want to do it in a coherent manner. And this is one of the reasons why I want to keep this video as short as possible. But I did want to express, okay, how ugly and how evil and how rotten. And I've talked about how immoral, okay, society is. And not just in my situation, I have been an observer for a very long time. And I think a lot of people have always wondered, okay, how is it? And I think the reason why they have wondered, how is it that I didn't have an opinion, a political opinion, or how come I never really expressed my point of view or anything like that, is because maybe if people did know me as CB Braganza, perhaps maybe I did express myself more in that, okay? And only because I must have been pressed to the wall to do so, just like I am as Maria Gordon. You know what I mean? But for a very long time, my view on it was I did feel as though there was a dark corruption that creeped over a lot of what was going on in the world, okay? But because I'm the kind of person that literally, I am somebody who just wants peace. I just want peace. Like, I just literally am the kind of person who just wants to go to work. I want to come home. I stay out of other people's business. I do not like to create, upheavals or anything like that. Okay, and because I never had to deal with issues like, I think a lot of people. Here's another rumor that surfaced through my mind. A lot of people deal with gender identity. Okay, especially people who are dealing with cloning, right? Cloning, and I will say, growing up in the '80s, and going in the '90s, I think that, yeah, I think what used to be reflected in my dress, the way that I would express my clothes. Like, I remember talking about me wearing things like my father's dog tags and stuff like that, because I kind of liked having that masculine look, because it kind of fit my masculine edge. I do have a masculine edge. This is one of the reasons why people have noted I have a very strong personality. Okay, but when it comes to my sexuality, I'm going to tell you, I am wired like a woman. Regardless of my past lives, I am wired like a woman. I was able to produce a child. Okay, I am a woman. Okay, but it really irritates me that people would be frustrated, or not frustrated, or fixated on my sexuality when I was leaving an issue that was dealing with the Ku Klux Klan. I was dealing with an issue that I felt was life-threatening. You know what I mean? Especially since people thought that they were going to manipulate me, and just the fact that I was a victim of human trafficking. Okay, in and of itself. Okay, that is the most important issue. Okay, I get tired of people with their selfish and their sick shit thinking about other stuff. You know what I mean? It bothers me. Okay, that in itself to me is immoral. Okay, because and it's not, and it is because I have gotten to the point where I have literally have become something of, a kind of a hermit. You know what I mean? Because you wonder, how could people be so corrupt? We live in a very corrupt world. Anyway, so I want to devote most of my time into my writing projects and my video project series, the Autodidacts. I also mentioned that I also have a side project that I'm working on that I do want, and it's a little bit more of a surprise, but it will be discussed more in the future. But yeah, it's my projects that light me up. It's the things that I've been working on. I realized, just the other day, how many notebooks I've collected. I have years of research, psychological research, social research. A lot of it has to do with the workplace. Okay. But because autodidacts is something that I feel is really important, because I was being attacked by so many people on a lot of the issues were sometimes brought up to me in my face. And then a lot of it I had to do with some intuitive digging, which everybody who's been on my channel has seen the things that I've gone through and the things that I brought up and discussed, okay? But a lot of it is just, things that have been going on throughout the years, okay? And I've been wanting to do things with my research. And I'm somebody who is, I'm very driven, okay? I'm very driven. I realize how autonomous I am. I'm a very, I'm a self-driven person, okay? And I had talked about the adaptation of all the things that have gone on in my life. You know, the very struggles that I've gone through and the fact that, you know, C.B. Braganza lived a very long life, okay? He lived a very long life. He lived 94 years old, okay? But he ended up taking himself out, which I wanted to back up. This is another issue that came through my mind that I wanted to share. I wanted to write this all down, and I know this is a very sloppy video, and like I said, you know, I'm devoting most of my time into making constructive videos, but I do know that this is just an example of how ignorant society is, okay? I get this intuitive feeling that people, members of my family, were talking about my long life, right? And they were basically hoping that I was going to kill myself and thinking that, you know, playing around with me in the workplace was going to help me do that by everybody turning their backs on me and then me feeling all alone, that I was going to end up killing myself. This is something that people have talked about within this group. Okay, so basically what they're ignorant and they don't understand is that this sort of discussion online or anywhere else, you are conspiring to murder a person. See, and this is the kind of stuff that people do every day. They don't think about what they do, is what I'm talking about. Okay, and who are you to decide when and how I die and whatever? See, this is the kind of stuff that people just do not think about. Okay, first of all, like I said, there is no proof, hardwire proof, that C.B. Braganza was an immortal. Okay, but let's just say, for example, you know, C.B. Braganza was not in the nut house, okay, and he was still going on at 94. How dare you try? Some people view long life as a blessing. Some people really do. Some people think that that is a blessing. How dare you deny somebody the right to have a long life and be a blessed life? What you are doing is trying to murder a person, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Okay, it is not for you to decide when, how. And see, this is what I was talking about. How cloning. Okay, people dehumanize clones. Okay, shame on you. Shame on you. Also, what I don't want to say. I think that's it. Okay, but I will be coming up with more in my constructive work. Okay, but I just wanted to share those little thoughts with you. They were on my mind. I feel so much better now that I've just gotten it all out, you know. And now I'm just going to go and sit and just relax, meditate, listen to some music, clear my mind, and get myself back into it. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and I will be back with another video sometime later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.